From there, we'll continue on with our show. Thank you very much.
This is the Grandpa Joe Show for Saturday, December 2nd, 2017, with net neutrality and the noise analyzer. This is the Grandpa Joe Show starts right now.
Okay, yeah. So last week we were working on the tone generator and the noise analyzer, and I said I was going to get back to you after I talked with Ryan at my work on what it all does, because it is very interesting.
Ago. You kept on saying
I'm sorry, I keep saying 1 week ago. It only seems like a week.
It does.
Yes. So anyway, we're going to show you a little bit more about how it can be used to detect where wiring goes in your house, or if you had wiring in a factory or whatever have you. It's to analyze where wiring goes when you're having issues with your wiring. So I will show you how that is done. I just made up a piece of wire here. Okay, and we can clip the tone generator on one end of the cable, and let's say, for instance, you had a problem with some of your wiring from your circuit breaker box and you didn't know where it went. You could shut down the power on that box and connect the tone generator. I'll pull that out now, if I can get it out of here. Connect the tone generator up to the two wires, or one wire I should say, whichever way, on one end by your circuit breaker box. And then you have the other wires that we don't really know where they're going, but there's no power on now because you disconnected all your power. So we can take the noise analyzer, and as you can see, right now it just has a little bit of a buzz from the noise, the static electricity or wavelength in the air, the hertz from the AC. So now we can put this on tone and watch. I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear it on there?
Hold on, let me take this over to take the webcam over.
You hear that?
Yep, and you can hear that.
Okay, now watch. See how it was kind of quiet there? Because we're going through a shielded cable. It's still just the same noise right there. Now
I think we might need to bring it closer.
You know, way at the end, there's like 30 feet of cable. Okay, but now we come right to the actual wire. See that? That's because this is a shielded cable, so we're getting some shielding, and the shielding is preventing the noise from coming out. But at least we're hearing it. So if this was in your wall or something, you'd be able to hear it, especially the wires in a regular house. But once you come up to here, it is loud as can be. There was one other question on this tone generator. it had something we thought it meant continuous, C-O-N-T. Well, it did not mean. Can you see that better?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. At any rate, the continuous didn't mean continuous, it meant continuity.
Which is basically, for the people that don't know out there, is basically whether it can, basically is one thing connected to the other, basically.
That's exactly what it is.
In a nutshell.
So, and it basically means if you have a short together with the wiring. So, right now, I have these wires the continuity tester is connected on one end, and this end, the wires are separated. And if you'll notice, there's a little light on here right above that exec tech. That little circle, that's a light. Okay, right now it is not.
I don't think you should touch that with your bare hands.
It won't hurt a thing because this is only 9 volts DC. So that little light is not lit right now.
How many amps though?
It's a little battery. Now continue to show that light. Okay. Now watch when I touch these. Oh, can you see? Do you think we'll be able to see the other part? Or maybe. Oh, here.
Bring it together.
Now, when we touch these two wires together, you got to show the.
Here.
See the light?
Yep.
So that is a continuity tester. You could do the same thing with an ohm meter.
And a voltmeter too. This is basically any handheld meter there is.
Well, I don't know about that. It's you need an ohm meter for continuity tester, or they have other types of meters that would do the same thing. But so now we know a little bit more about what this actually is. This amplifier probe and the tone generator. Okay, and then in just a little bit, we're going to also follow up with some of the things I discussed while filling out the order of worship. There were some things that kind of caught my eye. Maybe we could even talk about it right now, here and now.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Do we still have my cell phone out here, or it's in the house? It's in the house. Oh, no, that cell phone won't do any good. We're going to talk about that when we get back into the house, just before we do the net neutrality conversation. So thanks a lot.
Welcome back to the Grandpa Joe Show. My name's, as always, is Dominic Brosh, and this is recorded on December 3rd. This is Joe Walensky, and so we are going to follow up on some thoughts from Grandpa Joe.
Right, yeah. Last week when we were doing the order of worship, I kind of noticed some different interesting things, because whenever you talk about your faith at all, you don't want to be wrong in your words, and not that I was wrong in any of the words that I had said, but some do need clarifying. So it's kind of interesting because it's almost like Ignatius spirituality, watching yourself on video what you were talking about. There's something called the examine. Ignatius has you do it at night in your prayers. You can examine your day and see where you saw God and where maybe you so much didn't see God. But in this case here, I was able to reflect back watching that video. It was an enhanced examine. And one thing I did that stuck out in my mind was at the very end of it, I had said that when you leave Mass, after you have received Jesus in the Eucharist, when you leave Mass, you go out and you actually are Jesus. Well, you aren't Jesus in reality, but you are playing a role of Jesus at that time, I guess you'd say. And I could also use a poem by Saint Teresa of Avila. I could read it to you, and it will explain exactly what I'm talking about. I have it right on my cell phone here. Okay, it's this is by Saint Teresa of Avila. She's just, and it's called. It says, "Christ has no body but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks compassion on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. Yours are the hands, yours are the feet, yours are the eyes, and you are his body." And once again, that's by Saint Teresa of Avila. So that's kind of the thoughts I had. There was one other thing that I had thought about, but now I forgot it. So
Oops.
there you have it. And now I guess we're going to get into the topic, the hot topic of the day.
If I can position this thing correctly.
Okay. We're going to get into the hot topic of the day, which Dominic knows all about, and I know just minimal about.
And obviously, if you can tell by your age differences, you can already tell if you do some thinking and correlation. That is, and if you've been watching the news or reading the news lately, it is net neutrality. So this has been a hot topic throughout the whole month, like the whole later month, really. So what the FCC did when hiring Ajit Pai was that his plan was to demolish net neutrality. So since me included was kind of like weary of this whole thing happening, like I kind of knew it was gonna start happening. But so far, what I've gained is that people have gone so far. There's multiple websites. Battle for the Net received about 585,000 calls as of November 23rd when I was taking notes for this. 375,000 in that week of November 23rd, and 270,000 alone on that day. So, and as well as Change.org also started 7 new petitions over the last 48 hours, which is as of November 23rd again. Now, I'm aware that sometimes the FCC employees, we don't really know if this is really coming from them, but one of them was saying that she's on the FCC. Please stop us from killing net neutrality, and she also quoted, It's a lousy idea and it deserves a heated response from millions of Americans who work and create online every day. Now, obviously, on the screen in front of you is another article according to Vitana. Is it Vitana, I believe? And as you can see, these are the pros and cons of net neutrality. So if you want to kind of like jump on in, Grandpa, and do pros or cons, go ahead. But right now, we can cover all the pros of net neutrality. So for one, this is probably the most obvious thing. It creates an equal playing field. And hopefully if anyone doesn't mind me reading what this is coming through as. So it says, with net neutrality in place, internet service providers have little say on what passes through the mechanisms that are used by customers to access the internet. There are controls in place for illegal activities, but companies like Comcast or AT&T wouldn't be able to change how customers' data is delivered to them. This means an IP under net neutrality cannot block access, change services, or alter the flow of data simply because there's something that goes on which they don't like.
Okay, I guess I'd like to step in right here after reading that, and I'm starting to understand this stuff a little bit myself, and I guess I tend to agree with that statement. We don't want to have them mess with it because right now, when you buy your internet service, whatever you buy it from, Time Warner, you pay a certain fee for a certain speed, but you're always going to get that speed unless of course there's so many people online at the same time that it slows it down.
It's
But
going to affect your quality of the internet,
Right.
obviously.
but I guess what can happen if that neutrality goes away, they can start seeing how much data you're using, how much speed you have, and if you're always using something, they can start to slow it down and start to try to charge you more if you want it to go faster, rather than just paying a fee up front for a certain speed or a certain. Now, is that correct, Dominic?
That is, in fact, correct. They said, and there's also been many videos uploaded to YouTube, some of them of the YouTubers that I even watch, some of the tech YouTubers that I even watch. They've hinted at something basically similar to cable TV, where they would package the internet. Like, basically they could, like, package, like, YouTube, like, any video streaming sites into one package, and they could even just whip out packages, like, new packages really easily, because they can just simply throttle your speed, your connection to the site, and by throttling down.
Okay.
And so they could just whip out a new package for that, and you just gotta pay like extra $5 a month. There you go.
Oh yeah, extra $5 a month, and we'll let you have it a little bit faster.
Well,
is that
that depends. Well, extra $5 a month to get that full speed, or just completely unblock it. So,
Okay.
next one, it protects innovation. Although there are companies that have made billions of dollars because of their access to the internet, they were able to get started on the same footing. Like, basically, Google started from the ground up. Wikipedia started from the ground up. This was what was going on. So the last time that this happened, Google and Wikipedia, along with the other internet companies here, they were just small. And so if you're able to remember that, there you go. That was going on. But now, because of the repeal of net neutrality coming up in about 9 days at the time this was filmed, no, 11 days, excuse me. But basically they were basically attacking it. I know Google was attacking them, attacking the FCC. So coming back in here, so innovation is protected with the internet remains neutral. Big companies still have the same access as SMBs or freelancers, and this allows everyone to earn a comfortable living or offer information in a way that best suits them. So that's basically, you want innovation in the tech industry. That's basically what the tech industry is basically being driven off of, is innovation, basically, like one of the ways. So that's basically, if net neutrality goes away, then the tech industry will be heavily impacted, as everyone else has been hinting at, is that the tech industry will be impacted either negatively or positively, depending on where you look at. So you could oh geez, there goes. That was really loud.
What do we got going on there? Okay.
So, excuse me for that. So, basically for ISPs, it could impact them in a positive way, because, I mean, I guess you could consider them part of the tech industry.
What's an ISP again?
An internet service provider.
Oh, okay. I knew that.
So, but it'll impact, like you say, like Google and Wikipedia. They'll impact them negatively, because they'll just limit them to what, and then because the throttling and the blocking of stuff, it could just cause their popularity to drop, and small companies like that who are dependent on that, small businesses like that operate on the internet, they could just completely kill them. That's what I've noticed, is that what I've thought about that. And number 3 is actually a big thing for America. It provides everyone with a freedom of expression. Blog services, business, and any website that can operate legally is able to do so, and be able because of net neutrality. There isn't any censorship available as long as the content being offered meets legal obligations. If legal content is discovered, it can be immediately reported to law enforcement officials. Without this freedom of expression, it can become easier for illegal content, such as child pornography, that's just been a bad thing, to become more available. If a small ISP blocked access to all and improve of such a thing, it could hamper keeping our communities safe. So that's just basically a big thing with America is that basically without net neutrality, another part of America could be taken away. Basically the transfer of in real life stuff transferring over to the internet, that could just get kicked out entirely.
Yeah, and as a whole, I think that it should definitely be free access like we have right now, and of course they should block. I think some more of the content should be blocked out of there in some ways. All of these different like you say, porn sites and that needs to be blocked a little bit harder, but I guess I don't know how they
unless
can do
you're like
all
of
that.
a certain age, obviously.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if it should be on there for any age. I think that we have a lot of the problems that's going on in America right now with our families. You know, the devil has a good way of tempting people, and you see those types of things.
Obviously,
and it's hard for some people to not watch it, and it destroys families. It destroys everybody around that person that gets, I guess you call it, addicted to that
type of stuff.
Yeah, pornography and that on there. So I think a lot of it should be completely restricted. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, that's where kind of like everybody kind of like splits apart, really. So obviously illegal activities are still monitored. That's just basically the right thing to do. Obviously, kind of like I don't think I need to even explain what it is, because everybody knows what this stuff like about piracy and whatnot. So basically, we can just skip it past that. So number 5, it will classify internet service providers as utility providers. So yeah, because the internet can be used as a utility, because public utilities, like even the definition of utility, like I could even Google that right now. Utility definition.
Aren't internet providers kind of like utility providers right now?
Yeah, they're currently that way right now.
Yeah.
It's just once net neutrality goes, if it ever does, you can see that the definition of utility is the state of being useful, profitable, or beneficial. And that's basically what net neutrality makes the internet become, a utility. So public utilities have a role to play in our lives. They provide services that we use every day to maintain our quality of life. It can be argued that the internet is just as essential to that lifestyle as having water or sewer access. Utilities provide everyone with the services they need unless a customer refuses to pay for them. It doesn't matter how good their credit happens to be, how much money they have, what kind of a business they run. Now, obviously we got a video, but we are not going to play that back for the sake of copyright, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, we don't need to see that.
So the cons of U.S. net neutrality. Basically, yeah, I mean, I've known this was an issue with net neutrality, but honestly, it's fine because of all the pros in there, even more pros that what this article listed. You can see that enormous amounts of data are consumed without compensation. I knew about that, but honestly, the pros that just basically overshadow that. You can see when the internet was first brought to the public, the idea of having a streaming service was unfathomable to many. In the 1990s, internet users had a good time being online in AOL chat rooms or waiting 20 minutes for a cool website to load. Today, there are real-time video calls, companies like Netflix providing legal streaming. There is illegal streaming as well. These services are provided for free on the infrastructure of the internet service provider. So, I mean, I knew that was an issue in the net neutrality days. Like, I mean, we're still in the net neutrality days right now, but for 11 more days, we don't know when that's going to go.
Well, I'm kind of sold on net neutrality right now. I had no opinion of it a week ago, but I've been kind of looking at this stuff a little bit here, and Yeah, I'm definitely pretty much sold. I can see this last discussion here with people not being compensated for the things that they put out on the internet, but they can be, because I sure know, like when I go to Wikipedia now, they're always putting up little blurbs. Give me $3. Do this, do that. Well, one day I'm probably going to give them $3. I know my wife did, so or whatever it was. So those things. That's a way for them to make money, and there's got to be other ways, obviously, for people to make money off the content that they put out here. So I guess so far I'm sold on net neutrality.
Yeah, because this is what we've had for 7 years. And basically, because the history of the whole net neutrality, in 2010, Obama rolled out the whole net neutrality stuff along with the FCC. And that basically, I imagine everybody was rejoicing for that.
Well, I do know that within the past, probably kind of about the same amount of time, all our cell phones and stuff have just become tremendously more, I guess you'd call it more efficient, getting onto the internet and doing things with the internet. Now, whether that's completely because of net neutrality, I don't know that for a fact, but it's kind of coincidental that it has gotten so much better and faster and since that period of time. What do you think, Dominic?
It has gotten a lot faster, and the people have even pointed out that our speed of the internet now was influenced by net neutrality, as you can see. So, back in 1996, when dial-up was being rolled out, that was basically the beginning of the internet, as we know.
Yeah, and that stunk.
It did stink by today's standards, but those standards, it was just top of the line stuff.
Yeah.
But then we got broadband that was rolling out in 2001 with the beginning of the multi-megabit internet speed. 1 megabit was the average speed for a broadband network, 2 megabits in some places. But then cable and DSL rolled along and brought multi-megabits. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, well, maybe you could pop up history of the speed of internet. Speed of internet. So, basically, this is what I could do. So this article comes from entrepreneur.com from September 25th, 2013. Obviously, it's been a few years since that happened, but you can see... Hold up a sec. So, yeah, I knew this was here, so obviously everybody, like... Whoa. Hold up. And it's when it lags like this is when I don't like it. Alrighty, so ARPANET. This is what some people know where the internet came from. Is that it came from the ARPANET, which is basically kind of like a primitive version of the internet, except it's shared between multiple universities across the United States. I just can see.
I thought Al Gore invented the internet.
No. Well, no.
Well, that was just a mild joke.
Yeah. So basically, ARPANET paved the way for the internet. It started all back in the 1960s. Actually, basically, it was a link between three different California universities. I don't remember which ones it was, but then people like the government, and other officials knew about this, and so they wanted to get onto the network. And so pretty soon, by the 70s, there were even some links that went all the way to Europe, went all the way to the United Kingdom. But it was pretty much stopped there. It stopped in the United States a small portion of Canada and Western Europe, Northwestern Europe to be exact. So obviously it started beginning operating with a 50 kilobit per second circuit, well, multiple circuits, and obviously it went online at 56 kilobits NSFnet, and then went to 45 megabits, and then upgraded again to 145 megabits before obviously the private sector took over in 1995. And
Can I ask a quick question? It's kind of still on the same topic, but you brought up other countries. What do other countries do with their internet access? Do they have net neutrality, or are we kind of just, since we're kind of the leaders of this, is it everybody just kind of follows whatever we do? How does that work?
so
Or do you know?
I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but Portugal does not have net neutrality. I'm not sure if that was fake news or not. Some people saying it was. Some people saying it isn't. So I don't know. So I'm not gonna just don't quote me on that. But obviously, when dial-up was, well, it became main-place in 1996, but it all started back in 1993 when the World Wide Web was introduced by Tim Berners-Lee, basically kind of like the father of the internet.
Tim Berners-Lee?
Yeah, Tim Berners-Lee.
Oh, Berners-Lee. Okay.
So, basically 56 kilobits a second, basically kind of like what NSFnet was back then. And obviously at this speed, as you can see on this screen, it would take a single low-quality song in around 10 minutes to download at full speed, but it would take a 30 minutes to a few hours at low speed. So, and a low-quality movie up to 700 megabytes would take about 28 hours at full speed, but 3 to 5 days at low speed.
Wow.
Yeah. At around this point, which I know that rural areas still continue to use dial-up without alternatives. In 2010, only half the households in rural areas only have internet access at home, according to Pew Internet and American Life.
Well, they have to be really rural areas, but now can't just about anybody get satellite internet?
Actually, some people still use dial-up, but I think they could do satellite internet, but according to AOL, 2 million people still use dial-up as of last year.
I wonder, do you think, is dial-up any faster than it used to be? Because there's hardly anybody using that?
Under like compression and whatnot, it's faster. So, obviously in 2011, the economic downturn forced people to scale back on the internet services, and AOL just gained 200,000 new dial-up customers to its already 3.5 million. But obviously that number has been in decline in 2016, down to 2 million. But then we got broadband, which started back in 1996, which I knew about. It was in Canada, however, not the US. So in 2000 and 2001, between there, broadband subscriptions increased 50% and saw another 48% increase in 2003. And over 65% of US households had adopted broadband by 2010. And then, obviously in 2013, Google Fiber came around and ran at speeds of up to 1 gigabit a second.
Oh.
So, yeah. Oh, and I did not want to do that. So, obviously, you can see cost of speed. Let me scroll down a little bit. You can see $22 a month at first for dial-up, $37 at broadband. Google Fiber was at Kansas City, for example, which was one of the cities that has been introduced to, is that they were paying $120 a month for 1 gigabit upload and download speed, plus a 2-year contract, plus HD TV, a Nexus 7 tablet, and a 1 full terabyte of storage on Google Drive.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk too much about all that.
So basically, that's kind of like what was here. So let's kind of like resume back
Boy, it looks like we're getting a lot of sunlight on our faces now. That sun's coming in kind of strange.
Yeah, it's coming.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close the shades a little bit. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah. It's about that time of day where in Wisconsin where everybody kind of like it. Yeah, it seems better, but it's like the sun's still coming in, sort of.
Okay. Right outside. Turn off a couple things here too.
So, yeah. So what's going on here? Let me go back to net neutrality again. So reduced income from internet uses limits infrastructure improvements, which, yeah, obviously that can do that, but like people again still say that our internet speeds, and it's been covered by a certain media company, saying that our internet server, like our internet speeds, have increased like dramatically because of net neutrality. So that's what it was. So three is that priorities can be assigned by the ISP. So because if Hulu, PlayStation View, and Sling by Dish Network are 3 examples of live TV. So obviously because they created the service, they can be given higher priority and whatnot, which I guess makes sense in the company's eyes, but okay.
Okay.
So, and then we got questionable content thrives in net neutrality, which points out to the whole illegal content stuff earlier. So, and then we got free internet access would likely go away. Number 6 is we got charging companies more just means services will cost more because we didn't get that packaging sort of stuff. More regulations would create slower access. Public utilities have plenty of problems that just many overlook. So yeah, that's basically what pros and cons of net neutrality. So we can move on from that now and talk about our new studio that could be coming up. This is basically kind of like our placeholder studio.
Right, and this isn't right now. Well, some respects it's kind of convenient because our studio right now is in the kitchen, so right now I can smell. Well, let's see if you can see this here. I can smell our Usinger. No, you can
cover the logo.
You can put that on there. I'm sure Usinger doesn't mind having it. Hans and Fritz down there, they'd probably like to have their product being promoted. Anyway, we got some Polish kielbasa going, even though they're Germans, but they still make really good kielbasa, and we got that going. But in the same breath, now I got to clean the dishes anytime we show our program, so that's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, so basically with our new studio, in regards to that getting back on track, is that we're basically going to get like a proper studio starting Christmas, probably December 23rd most likely. Yeah, because we do the Grandpa Joe show every other Saturday, so yeah, it would be the 23rd when we get this new studio. So it's going to be on another part of the house, which is going to be located in the bedroom next to the door. So it's going to be a proper, it's going to be more like a proper studio rather than just the kitchen. So that's basically what it's going to be. Starting to December 23rd. And it's going to be a lot better. Like we're going to have like a backdrop behind us and stuff of that sort, and perhaps we're sneaking at probably when we build a new house in the future, which we've been kind of like playing around with for a few years now.
Whenever
we do that, when we do that,
then we will have a much nicer studio.
Yeah, well, because we're planning to dedicate a space to the Grandpa Joe show.
Yep, and
like an actual space.
And hopefully everything takes off with doing this.
And it should
be enjoyable.
And it should, in theory, take it should be about 5 years from now, in theory. Obviously, that's going to be subject to change, but hopefully that will stay that way or even just decrease in time, but we will see.
Okay. And then didn't you have something you wanted to talk about for programming?
For future programming?
Yeah, you had something you wanted to say about the next show. You had a teaser, you said.
Oh yeah, that. So basically, what I was kind of like hinting at here.
Oh, we're not live anymore?
No.
We're
Still live. So
sorry about that.
what was what I was kind of like looking at here. Quantum OS 5. This is basically kind of like what I was kind of like working on just a couple days ago, because I've been developing a little operating system type thing here, just kind of like for hobby's sakes. So that's basically what this looks like now. Obviously, it's a non-working prototype, so as more stuff goes down the line, if we can revisit that on the Grandpa Joe show. But that's basically all for that. So basically, that is the Grandpa Joe show for this Saturday, and now recorded on Sunday, December 2nd, 2017. I'm Dominic Brosh, as well as and Joe Walensky. As always, you can contact us on grandpajoeshow@gmail.com for any questions, concerns, or other stuff. And you can also become a guest on the Grandpa Joe Show via Skype at the Grandpa Joe Show, and at the Grandpa Joe Show at, well, yeah, that's the username for is Grandpa Joe Show. So anyway, for me and Joe, and Grandpa Joe, this is the Grandpa Joe Show, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Okay, and God bless.